For more on the escalation of the U.S. tariff war, let's turn to Radhika Desai. She's a professor in the Department of Political Studies at University of Manitoba, also a visiting professor of international development at the London School of Economics, and joins me from London. Professor, welcome to the program. When you think about China's countermeasures or response, what do you think it will be?
Well, I think that China is entitled by the WTO to take retaliatory measures on any such unilateral imposition of tariffs and so on. So I think China can take a whole range of measures, including measures that are clearly directed. For example, as you know, China has already taken measures to restrict the export of certain rare earth metals and so on. China can also impose retaliatory tariffs on things that China imports from the United States, particularly where it hurts. Obviously, imposing tariffs is never a good thing, because at the end of the day, when the United States imposes tariffs, it hurts U.S. businesses and U.S. workers. But if China were to do the same, it will also be in danger of hurting Chinese consumers and Chinese businesses. So it has to be careful, but a targeted retaliation would be the way to go.
What are the risks here? I mean, beyond hurting consumers and companies, surely there is a better way to address differences between the two sides.
Absolutely. I think that, first of all, let me say that the Trump administration's obsession with tariffs has actually very little to do with what they claim it has to do with, whether it is restoring U.S. jobs or U.S. industry or whatever, because imposing these tariffs is not guaranteed to have these effects. In fact, the first thing imposing the tariffs will do is it will increase inflation, precisely what the Trump administration had pledged not to do. It is also going to harm, essentially, it's going to make the United States an extremely unreliable economic partner. The whole world can see that it is behaving in a completely unreliable fashion. And I think that the Trump administration assumes that the importance of the United States to world trade is so great that everybody will essentially do what the United States wants it to do. But in fact, the United States' importance in world trade has declined tremendously in recent years. So depending on which figure you're looking at, the United States accounts for between 10 and 15% of world imports. That's not enough to make people, to make people comply. Canada and Mexico are particularly vulnerable, but all other countries can take the shock. Well, so I would say that, yeah, sorry.
We've seen this movie before, Professor, from Donald Trump, who's very transactional, uses tariffs as leverage to get he wants. He's done this before. Did it work during President Trump's first term?
No. In fact, think about it. What the effect of President Trump's earlier version of tariffs from 2016 to 20 was, in fact, to essentially replace China with Mexico. Mexico is now the biggest exporter to the United States, and so essentially it will just shift the patterns of trade. It's not necessarily going to resolve any of the United States' very deep-seated problems.
And finally, Professor, any possibility this could be avoided? Is there any room for compromise before Tuesday?
I think that there is always room for compromise with Donald Trump. That's the other part of the transactional stuff. He has already postponed the tariffs once. He could do so again. When he announced recently that there was going to be, that he was going to go ahead with the tariffs, there was also some discussion as to whether this was actually, he was being serious or not. Remember, this is a man about whom people wonder whether to take him literally or seriously. So Trump can turn on a dime. And so anything may happen between now and Tuesday, the 4th of March.
All right, we'll leave it there. Professor Radhika Desai from London, thank you so much.
Thank you.